There's a wee chance here though. It's going for the lob.
Yes!
It's there!
Yes!
It is there!
Aaron Quigg! Aaron Quigg
He's
with a
won it,
beautiful goal!
surely!
In stoppage time, I think has won it for the Blues.
Surely won
Absolutely
it.
beautiful lob for Aaron Quigg, and he's won the points for Stranraer.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Look Blues Talking. I'm Laurence Nelson and I'm joined this week by the men who witnessed Saturday's win over the Spartans, Cameron Ritchie and Brian Martin. Good evening, gentlemen. I was in the position that Brian was in, the week before? No, you were supposed to be the week before, Brian. Then the Dumbarton game was cancelled. Anyway, suffice to say I was watching on from afar. You guys got to see the excitement. Cameron, I don't think I've ever heard you quite as excited on commentary as you were in the 91st, 92nd minute on Saturday. And I guess you've now found out, when Stranraer get a late winner, how hard it is to get a word in over an excited Brian Martin.
I was just trying to get words out, to be honest. Probably not the best game I've ever been to, but last minute winner, can't beat it.
If you could bottle that feeling, Brian, it would be, and use it every Saturday, it would be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, Laurence. First of all, Laurence, it's great to see you back, mate, from Italy. I think you're in, weren't you? I've been waiting for this all day, Laurence. See when the sun comes out in Capri, is it called Capri Sun?
I don't know, because it wasn't. Well, I was going to say it wasn't that sunny, but actually it got better. But I'll tell you what, Capri on Saturday was absolutely beautiful. But being February, it was also absolutely closed. There was nothing open. So just as well, it was quite sunny and I could sit outside and enjoy the sunshine. But I never thought I'd see the day when I was sitting on a ferry on the Bay of Naples, staring at my phone, waiting on that full-time whistle on Saturday. And I was saying to Cameron, it truly was the boat that rocked when Quiggy's goal went in. I was jumping about the place. So anyway, let's go back to the start of things on Saturday. And Cameron, it's fair to say that looking from the highlights and looking from what I've heard, Stranraer made a very good start on Saturday.
Yeah, strangely, kind of pretty much up until we scored, it was pretty much one-way traffic. Evan Dunn had a header saved. Darren Lang had a shot blocked by Ayrton Sonker. Dean Cleland probably should have scored with his first chance. He maybe had a little bit too long, a bit too much time to think about it, and Paddy Martin got out and made the block. And then his goal itself, pretty much kind of textbook what you would tell a striker: head it back across the goalkeeper into the ground. Paddy Martin had no chance in terms of getting to it. But then almost as soon as we scored, that kind of seemed to waken Spartans up. And I mean, fair enough, it's not as if Max Curry was ridiculously overworked, but certainly in terms of possession and where the ball spent the rest of the first half, it tended to be kind of midfield or into the Stranraer half. We never really kicked on from that opening goal, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, that's what it felt like. Again, watching on from afar, you think 1-0, right, let's push on. And it didn't seem to happen from what I've seen. Brian, it was all that excitement at the start on, to be fair, what looked like an absolute glue pot of a pitch. No offence to the linesman, but that pitch has taken an absolute hammering in recent weeks.
It was very heavy, but I think there was rain. I mean, there was rain during the game as well. It was absolutely horrendous. But just back to the game, Cam is right. We were good the first 15, 20 minutes. I don't know what odds you'd have got with getting on Dean Cleland scoring against that mob with a header. The wee man in the park scoring against that Spartans defence with a header. It was a lovely header, as Cam says, back across the keeper. And, as he says, with two or three good chances. They came into the game after that, in the first half. I mean, they had a couple of chances. McNulty, especially, a couple of chances. One where the defence stood right off him, and I was shouting, "Let it get out to him!" But they let him shoot, and he just went past the post. I think Tommy said Max was looking confident he had it covered. I hope that was the case. And then McNulty had a shot in about 25 minutes, which tested Max. But as far as shots and goal concerned, that was it for Spartans until they scored the fruit goal in the second half. They play some lovely tippy-tappy stuff. As I call it, tippy-tappy, triangles and such like. But I'll go into it later on. But I think if you can keep a couple of players quiet, they're not that great, I don't think.
You're going to come on to Cammy Russell, no doubt, later on, I would imagine. Cammy Ritchie, however, let's go back to the goal. And it was basically made in Edinburgh, I guess. Like Gillis, lovely ball out to Plank, lovely finished, directed, steered header by Dean Cleland. What about that cross, though, from Dom Plank? It was as if he kind of had a bit of a moment and scooped it over the head of the players in the box, right onto the head of Dean Cleland. It was a lovely goal all round.
A lovely cross from Dom Plank, as you say. Equally, probably from a Spartans point of view, Dean Cleland's in plenty of room at the back post on his own, and as Brian said, he's not the tallest, but there's nobody near him, and he has all the time in the world to kind of think, right, I'm going to put this header back across goal. Lovely cross in, but as I say, there couldn't have been somebody within maybe 5-6 yards of him, unfortunately, from a Spartans point of view.
Yeah. Brian, back slightly further, Kirk McKnight and Danny McManus in, a couple of changes. I'm guessing you're going to say that worked for us. I think we're back to the manager using the squad effectively from game to game. Yeah,
I mean, Kirk came in the previous week and did nothing wrong, so I mean, I suppose he deserved his place, and he did perfectly fine. And we know that the manager likes Danny McManus, and he did well. I mean, he's been injured a couple of weeks, so he's got his place back. Again, he done fine in the middle of the park. I just come back to the goal. I'm just wondering if they were more concerned with Darren than what they were with Dean at the goal. I mean, Dean, as Cammy says, sneaked to the back post, but there seemed to be 2 or 3 players round there. I don't know whether maybe they were more concerned about him than what they were about Dean, and they forgot a bit about the wee man. I mean, go back to your question, Laurence. I mean, McKnight and McManus both done fine.
Yeah, good. Cameron, the Spartans' defence, it's a genuine question. I don't know. You guys were there. Go back to a season or 2 ago, and every time they came to us, Ayrton Sonker imposed himself in the game. Just from what I've seen on Saturday, I didn't think he looked like the same influence at the back for Spartans. There was one where I think he played, was it Dean Cleland onside right at the start? He just doesn't seem to be the same command and presence that we struggled against a couple of years ago.
It's hard to say. That chance you're talking about there, it was a lovely ball over the top for Matty Gillis, and that's the one that I said Dean probably should have scored, or certainly worked Paddy Martin a bit more than he did. Again, credit to Paddy Martin, he was out quickly. But yeah, the Spartans' defence kind of waiting for a flag that was never going to come. Apart from that, though, as I say, they kind of got to grips with Stranraer. Sonker and the rest of the defence kind of didn't really let Stranraer get a great deal in terms of chances, obviously, up until the very end. I think a lot of the time that if you're going to play high balls, they have to be balls that are going over the defence, so they've got to turn and run after them. And I fancied particularly Dean in a foot race there. If it's kind of head height, I fancy Spartans will deal with that all day long. So you've got to make sure that, as I say, you're getting the defence turned, you're getting them kind of retreating and on the back foot. And for the first 20 minutes, we managed to do that, and then it maybe, as I say, kind of faded away as time went on.
Brian, tell me about the Spartans' goal. It strikes me, looking at it, that they were very fortunate, but it also strikes me that it sounds, from what you guys were saying, as if you probably couldn't grudge an equaliser at that stage.
I think, well, in saying that, I think Cammy will agree. The first 20-odd minutes of the second half was nothing. I mean, they didn't create a chance. Again, I'll say that they played some nice tippy-tappy stuff, but they didn't hurt us at all. I mean, we had them. Of course, Reid's a fantastic centre-half, and McGrath, he looks at the park as well, and we didn't get him. As I was going to say, if you keep McNulty and Stow quiet, I don't think they're that good, actually. And I mean, I don't think Stow scored against us this season, and he's one of the top goal scorers in the league. And as I say, I think if you keep those two quiet, but as you say, maybe when they scored, I didn't think they were all over us. they were coming into the game, but they weren't creating chance after chance. And I think we said Max Curry had one thing to do in the second half. That was pick the ball at the net. He had nothing else to do. I think they one shot on target. Yeah. So it was a pretty fluky goal. Let's face it. Drysdale took the chance to drive it, and it hit off the first player, hit off the second player, and then hit the net. So it was quite a fluky goal. But they all count, I suppose, and he wouldn't be fussy how many rebounds it took or how many deflections it took.
Cameron, I felt sorry for, first of all, Evan Dunn, and I think Joe McGrath in particular. Like, it just hit off Evan. Joe could not have been expecting that, swung a leg at it, and there's not what you could do. And Max Curry could do absolutely nothing about that.
Yeah, as Brian had said, up until the goal, although Spartans had plenty of possession, Max had that one save from McNulty in the first half, and then I don't think he made a save the rest of the game. Yeah, maybe a little frustrated. I think Ethan Drysdale gets a bit of space on that side to get the shot away. It kind of hits off the inside of Evan Dunn's leg, and it probably looks like it is starting to, just the way it hits his leg, it's maybe spinning towards that far corner. I think any defender would stick a leg out, try to get something on it, whether you clear it, whether you put it out for a corner, whether it just rolls through to Max. Unfortunately, it kind of went over Max, and yeah, no blame to Joe McGrath, and no chance for Max Curry either.
Cameron, could it have gone wrong for us after that fluky equaliser, if you like?
Yeah, I think we've said this before. In seasons past, we would have probably crumbled, to be honest. We would have kind of went into our shells more and kind of thought, oh God, that's one gone in. Chances are another will go in. And don't get me wrong, Spartans had plenty of the ball, but outside of one kind of scramble where I think three players kind of threw themselves in front of it. I think there was McGrath, Quigg and Gillis. Outside of that, they didn't really kind of overly stretch the defence or test Max Curry. But I think there's a greater kind of determination, a greater fight, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's just more streetwise, that there's that kind of, not that obviously before the players kind of didn't have a determination not to throw things away, but we just seem better at ensuring that doesn't happen now, that if a team does get a goal back, that's fine. They've got a goal back. There's another 20-25 minutes to go. We make sure we don't concede another one. And as I said, the defence, Max Curry, although there was pressure, they were never worked. It wasn't at any time you kind of thought, we are holding on here.
Yeah. And thanks to you in particular, Cameron, for doing what we all end up doing when we're commentating on games. But you were just on the brink of saying the really frustrating thing is, that we find ourselves 1-0. I mean, at that point, you're obviously anticipating that's the full-time score. We're in the 90 plus. And tell us what happened next from your point of view.
First of all, I didn't realise this at the time, but obviously Brian had seen this movie before, because I think when Dean Cleland goes off, he says, that's Dean Cleland going off, scorer of Stranraer's opening goal this afternoon. So Brian obviously had total confidence that there was going to be a second. Yeah, as you say, you kind of think, right, we're into stoppage time now. We hadn't really threatened Spartans in the second half, and as I say, Spartans had more of the ball, but without really kind of testing Stranraer. And then one, I'll say, long ball over the top. Lewis Reid might say it was a defence splitting pass. And as soon as it left Aaron Quigg's foot, you thought at the very least there's a chance here. A wee bit like Matty Grant's against Elgin, where it's kind of swinging towards that back post, and you think, oh, that could be. And then, it just drops down off the post, and Paddy Martin's got absolutely no chance.
I also liked your description that the minute it left Quiggy's boot, you could see Paddy Martin looking alarmed about the whole thing. He realised, there's a problem here. It's
because the trajectory of the ball is such that,
you don't know.
short of him having lightning pace, he is not getting back there. That it's not as if it's kind of been driven towards him. It's looped up in the air. As I say, another day it might drop the other side of the post, it might hit the post and come out. But it's one of those where, unless he's very fortunate, turns around, chases it, and it bounces kindly for him, there's absolutely nothing he can do.
Come on then, Brian, own up. Were you expecting a a late winner at the 91st minute, or how did the winning goal appear for you? What your reaction to it?
I must admit, Laurence, I didn't see it coming. I thought, here we go, another draw. We're going to 31 points. He's okay. We're still in fourth. We're still in front of the fifth place team. And to be perfectly honest with you, there was guys right in front of us. There must have been hospitality. And I didn't really actually see the ball leaving Quigg's foot, because they stood up. They seen it before me. And then I heard Cammy saying, let's get in. And then I stood up and I seen it creeping in at the far side. And of course, all hell broke loose. It's a great feeling. We've had it against us a couple of times this season. We've had it for us a couple of times this season. And you can't beat a 92nd minute winner. It's the best feeling in the world. And we knew Spartans weren't they coming back for that, and or less. Right enough, the referee played enough time for them to come back to it. I think I was my new stopwatch for George Frank, 8 minutes. I think. I thought it was, so he was playing enough stoppage time for them.
Cameron, come on, keep us right. Was it anywhere near 8 minutes, or was just Brian Martin on the Clyde?
I think it was.
It was certainly 7 or 8. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And was it justified, do you think, Cameron?
There were celebrations after the goal, and I suppose if you take in the substitutes, and Brian will correct me on this, was it Jamie Dishington that ended up with the bandage?
Yeah, Jamie, aye.
That would all kind of add up. I think in any situation, unless the referee blows for full time straight after the goal, you do find yourself being like, where is he getting this time from? You just want that final whistle to go there and then. One thing I forgot to mention, sorry, about the goal, and I said this before we came on air, was that whether it's momentum, whether it's absolute confidence in where the ball's going, Aaron Quigg kind of runs away to celebrate, kind of almost out of shot towards the stand, and James Dolan just kind of stands and just watches the ball. He doesn't seem to move at all until it's in, right, and then kind of comes back to life. It's as if somebody's just pressed pause on James Dolan for a second.
You mentioned the through ball from Lewis Reid. I picked up on something that was sent to George before we started recording. Certainly in the Football app, when you click on the players, it gives their nationality. And Meatball comes up as Australian. So I queried that with him tonight, and he said, absolutely not. The nearest to... when I was born, it was down in Irvine, not down under. So he's not from Woolloomooloo or Alice Springs. And equally, I don't think the Australian manager's going to be shouting for him to join the Australia squad in the USA this summer. Anyway, the finish was provided by Aaron Quigg, and let's hear what Aaron had to say.
Said to Matty Gillis there, we'll start at the end of the game. In terms of yourself, I'm sure you're going to stand here and tell us, as soon as it left your foot, no doubt it was going in.
Well, it was good ball for Reedy playing forward and just having to land at me. I thought James was going to actually hit it, and I've obviously said leave it. Well, no, leave it. Said mine, and I seen the keeper off his line and dinked him.
But what is it like? Obviously, as fans, we're kind of experiencing similar emotions. But as a player, when it's been a long match, a difficult pitch, etc., what is it like when you get that winning goal like that?
Obviously, it's a great feeling, but it's probably more relief, because you put so much into the game, and we went 1-0 up, we were playing well, and they score, scrappy goal, deflection, and I thought obviously when the goal goes in, it's just a bit of relief, and knowing that that's probably the winner, so it's relief.
I know you don't always get what you deserve in football. Do you think Stranraer deserved the 3 points on this occasion?
Yeah, well, I definitely don't think Spartans deserved 3 points. I thought it was quite an even game. The boys were brilliant especially first 20 minutes. I thought we were all over them. We could have went 2 or 3 up. They kind of came back into it, and then second half they probably had a bit more of the ball first 10-15 minutes, and then once we started playing forward and playing the conditions, I thought we got a few chances, and I thought we were fully deserving of the win.
And 3 points at home, it's probably something that maybe not got enough of over the course of the season. Hopefully coming into the final stretch we can start picking up regular wins here.
Yeah, definitely. We want to try and make this place a fortress, and I don't think it's somewhere that away teams come and they enjoy playing. But we also need to start picking up more wins here. Away from home, I think we've got one of the better records in the league, but I think if we just take care of the home games a bit more, we'll definitely be looking up the table.
The manager said pretty much even since last season, in terms of it being a squad game, it isn't just 1 to 11, and he wants the players that are coming off the bench to make an impact. Certainly did that today. Yeah,
well, obviously we've all got full faith and trust in each other to go on. Whoever he picks, even the boys like Sharpie and Hendel away at loan, if they came back, we've got full trust in everyone to go on and do a job. And obviously came on, probably a bit disappointed not to start, but come on, and all we'll try to do is make an impact when I come on, and thankfully I've done that today.
Obviously been in the playoffs for a fair few weeks now. Is it just about kind of trying to build that momentum and see where it takes us now? Yeah,
we need to just focus on ourselves right now and what we can do, and what we can do is try and win games, which we've done today. So obviously we go into next week hoping, preparing for the next game and try and win that. So all we can do is take care of ourselves and not let other results or other teams come into our thinking, and just keep playing.
Quiggy there. Now, Cameron, you said some sort of stat. I remember Aaron scoring the winner against Queen of the South. I think that was his third goal of the season on Saturday. Is there not a stat you're saying that when he scores it's the winner generally?
Yeah, I think that's 3 goals, as you say, he's scored, and all 3 have come in victories. Similarly, I think every time that we've scored in the last minute under Chris Aitken, it's been in a game that we've won. Not all of them have been the winners in the sense going just a single goal, but it's a brilliant habit to have, to keep going until the 92nd or the 90 whatever minute to make sure we get that decisive goal.
Brian, what about, I don't know if you picked up on Saturday or on the highlights, BJ Call's roar as he went up the tunnel at the end of the game. As you guys are saying, timing is everything. The players were absolutely hyper coming off the pitch at the end.
Yeah, I watched the players coming off, and they got a great reception when they come off. Yeah, as I say, as you usually do when you win the game, but when you get a last minute winner, it sounds even louder. And the players were absolutely ecstatic. You could see that with the celebrations when the goal went in. It was when Quiggy scored. I think the whole of the team was congratulating him on the near side. It was great, and it's great. As I say, when you get a last minute winner.
Cameron, I picked up on social media a few weeks ago. There was old clips of Scottish football, and apologies if I'm wrong, I think it was Arthur Montford everybody was referring to, and his favourite one when the ball in the net was "It's there," and I noticed you said that on Saturday, because the guy was moaning about nobody says that anymore. Well, there you go. There's an outstanding example of it.
It's going for the lob. Yes, it's there. Yes, it is there. Quigg.
So there we are. 2 wins out of the last 2 against Spartans, and 6 points out of 9. We've obviously still got to go to Ainslie Park later in the season. We'll see how that one goes. But when you think that first season against Spartans, when they came out in the league, we couldn't buy a point against them always. I think we got a 0-0 late in the season, and that was it. We are absolutely delighted to be joined by Scot Rough. Ruffy, it's as if you'd never been away. You're back to join us pretty quickly. Scott, of course, joined Stranraer in the summer, moved up to SPFL, and has now moved up to football, full-time football in Belfast with Crusaders. Welcome back, Scott. How are you getting on over there?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. It's been, obviously, as you said, it was only in the summer I joined Stranraer, and then now it's just 6 months that went by and now I'm off again. But I'm loving it over here. Obviously, it's been busy moving places and stuff like that, but I finally got my own place now, so settling in well.
So it's full-time football. You've actually got full-time accommodation over there. I'm guessing that's a relief that you're not having to be travelling back and forward for training and games. You're getting yourself well settled in Belfast. So luckily, the first maybe 2 weeks, it was I was staying in B&Bs and stuff like that. But once I got my own place started, it's been alright. I'm only 10 minutes for training and stuff like that, so yeah, it's handy. Take us back to, we'll go much further back and talk about your Stranraer time as well, but take us back first of all just how the move to Crusaders came about. It felt, from a fan's point of view, it was a bit of a whirlwind, a sudden move that came about.
Yeah, honestly, it was the same thing for me, basically. On the Tuesday, we were supposed to play Clyde. We were supposed to play Tuesday night against Clyde, and we got told that training was going to be off because the game got cancelled, obviously. And then the gaffer phoned me tiff, and on the Tuesday night, basically saying, look, we've had interest or whatever, basically go see what they're saying or whatever. It's full-time football, and that's where the gaffer was he was brilliant with me, honestly, because he knew my aspiration to go full-time football. So as soon as he heard that, he kind of said to me, look, it is full-time football, like, go speak to them, see what they have to say. So the Tuesday night that I heard that, and then by the Thursday morning I was flying to Belfast. So that's how quick it all came around and happened. So I don't think it properly kind of sunk in or settled in until maybe last week or something like that, when I was moving into my new place, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a quick one.
And you took one question away right away there. That was always your aspiration to play full-time football. I'm guessing that's the case with most young boys, probably all three of us sitting here, who none of us had any great aptitude, I'm thinking, for football. Brian Martin might disagree. I'm told back in the 1840s he was a bit of a whiz on the ball. But aye, most young kids, most young boys want to go and play full-time football. I'm guessing though, I mean, we obviously know the Irish scene pretty well in Stranraer. We've played Crusaders, we've played Lamb regular, we've played quite a few of the Northern Irish teams. But I'm guessing for you, it's quite an unexpected move. If you had dreamt of going full time, you probably didn't even compute that Northern Ireland might be in the equation.
Yeah, no, I think see, when you're kind of just playing, you're not really thinking fully of it. Obviously, I think probably fan stuff you're maybe hearing stuff or whatever, but see, when you're playing, you're that's what I'm saying. I was just focusing on the Quigg game on the Tuesday, and then it gets cancelled, and then the Tuesday night I'm obviously going to Belfast. So that's honestly, that's how kind of quick it all happened. I generally, as you said, didn't really compute, didn't really think about. Obviously, you hear Scottish boys and stuff like that moving across to here, but you're not really thinking, oh, that's maybe somewhere I could take, or so. As you said, it was kind of a surprise to me as well. And as we were saying, just about full-time football, as soon as I heard that, I was it's a tough one now.
Ruffy, did you any inkling at all that Crusaders were watching you?
No, honestly, I genuinely had no clue at all. Obviously, I knew about Crusaders because we played them in pre-season and stuff like that, but no inkling at all. It was literally the Tuesday night, and then by the end of the week I was a Crusaders player. That's how quick it happened.
And see, now that you're over there, who's explaining the Northern Irish football scene to you? Has Elliot Dunlop introduced himself at all to you?
Yeah, me and Elliot are close over here, yeah. So obviously because he was at Stranraer as well, so that was an easy conversation starter. And then there's 6 or 7 Scottish boys over here, so instantly you kind of just obviously have that connection, don't you? So I was obviously speaking to Elliot early doors, and I've kind of starting to suss out because the thing is, well, there's a lot of Scottish boys that play for other teams in the league as well that I didn't even know about. So
yeah,
I know I'm starting to learn the lay of the land a wee bit now.
And I'm guessing they've got to explain to you who the rivals are. It's in Scotland you tend to know who the Glasgow thing, obviously you know who Dundee's rivals are, you know who Falkirk's rivals are, so I'm guessing you're starting to learn a bit about the Irish League and who's the top dogs and who doesn't like who and who wants to beat who kind of thing.
I know there's quite a few rivalries over here, and we're playing in the derby last Saturday. Obviously it wasn't a great result, it was against Cliftonville. But that's obviously the biggest derby for Crusaders over here. So, but there's a few. I think there's 2, maybe 3 big rivalries with Crusaders over here. So, I'm
guessing your Belfast clubs, Linfield, Glentoran, as well as Cliftonville, be rivals. Believe you scored on Saturday, is that right?
Yeah, I scored my first goal. That's what I was just saying. Obviously, it wasn't in the greatest circumstances, but yeah. It's good to obviously get a goal. I was speaking to my old manager at Beeve today, and he was laughing about it because see, if you ask him, I made 90 odd appearances for Beeve, and I think I scored 1 goal. And then since I came to Stranraer, I've ended up popping up with you. So it's been alright that way. But yeah, it was good to score, obviously, but not the result we wanted.
I can see from the records, Ruffy, that you get 3 goals for us, and I'm guessing the one that you'll probably remember most clearly is not that long ago. Late winner, 90 odd minutes or 90 minutes up at Elgin.
That's what I said. I think I said in an interview after the game, I was like, that was probably the best moment of my career so far. oh, see, just the feeling in the change room after it and stuff like that, it was so good, because if you were at the game, you seen that Elgin were all over us by the end up, even though they only had 10 men, and yeah, it was obviously good to get that going. It was the best feeling ever, over to the fans and stuff like that as well. So
yeah, we're slightly nervous because we've got Elgin at Stair Park on Saturday, so I suspect they'll be looking for a bit of revenge on that one. Scott, let's go back a wee bit. You obviously joined Stranraer from Beath in the summer, and in its own way, that's quite a story that you've gone West of Scotland League Two full-time football, all within the space of 6 months. It feels like it's a bit of I used the word whirlwind earlier on. That's probably a good one again.
Yeah, even when you're saying that, I think it still doesn't really sink in, because as we were talking about earlier, I think when you're playing, you're kind of just right, on to the next game, or next season, or pre-season's around. So when I was coming to Stranraer from Beath, obviously I knew about it. I signed the pre-contract maybe February time, so I kind of knew. Yeah. Obviously, I was preparing myself for it, but I think the biggest thing, and probably you watching the games early on at Stranraer, I think the biggest thing I kind of struggled with was I was giving a lot of fouls away constantly, because of the physicality from juniors to the leagues was the refs just didn't really give you that leeway. When I found that out very early, I was giving away a lot of fouls, and I was getting frustrated with it. I was like, how is that happening? Because I was just so used to it for the 2 years I was at Beath. And so I think I don't really think about it, and I think you can't. It's a struggle to think about it, because as I was saying, it just comes around so quickly. The next season comes round, so it just keeps happening.
Cameron, your impressions just coming to you when Scott joined us in the summer. I was just still trying to get my head around. This is not taking anything away from the move, because we're all absolutely chuffed for you getting that move to full-time football, Scott. And it wasn't a shock in terms of ability. It was just, I guess it's a bit of a shock, Cameron, in terms of how quickly things moved.
I think so. I imagine Scott would say that as well. That, as you say, going for what, tier 6 to tier 4 to then full-time football in the space of a few months. Does it go to show, Scott, that obviously there was yourself, there was Jordan Stewart, Evan Dunn, all made the step up for Beath, other players for the West of Scotland League as well. There were a lot of people that kind of said, who are these guys that Stranraer are signing for the West of Scotland League? And obviously it's worked out particularly well for yourself, but for everyone that's made the step up.
Yeah, I think anyone that knows the West of Scotland League, and obviously Piff the gaffer knew the quality, because he was there and he's seen he came up against all the teams that had all the quality players, so he would have seen the boys that were there. And as you're saying, Evan, Jordan as well, I think we've seen from them as well that they're good players and they're definitely capable of playing that level and higher. So, and we joke with Jordan all the time as well, the fact he's 29 and he's just played junior his full career. But I think there is so many good players in those leagues that maybe I don't know, maybe it's comfortable to stay in the West of Scotland. And obviously you know about the teams there. Maybe people are just happy staying with their jobs and stuff like that, and it's not too much not pressure, but it's even though it's still part-time football, there is a jump in physicality, pressure, expectation. There still is that, but yeah, I think it's just as we're saying, I think there's a lot of quality in the West of Scotland League that can definitely step up.
You mentioned jobs there. What did you do for a living?
So this was the mad one. So I was working with the NHS at the Gartnavel, so I was doing admin type work, and it was a few years ago. I was doing an apprenticeship before, full time. I was working 9 till 5, and then I was kind of speaking to my dad, and I was like, I want to try give football a good go. And he was like, right, okay, if you're going to go for it, then you need to fully be active for it. So I ended up taking a job at the NHS, and I was working 8 till 2 every day. So I was part-time hours essentially, and then that kind of gave me time to go to the gym after work or whatever, then before training. So I kind of went full sail into it, and yeah, I won't lie, there was probably a few times I was like, maybe I should get a real job kind of thing. So I was doing that for 2.5 years, and then obviously this came around. But yeah, even phoning my manager at the NHS, like she was like, "Do you know what? I'm absolutely buzzing for you." Like I was supposed to put a 4-week notice. I had to use my annual leave and stuff like that to basically just to get over here. So yeah, that's even stuff like that. It's been a mad month or so. Like even saying that, a month. That's how long it's been.
I was going to say that obviously in most jobs it's as you said, a 4-week notice period. It would be a bit odd to be like, here's my notice, and by the way, I'm away on Friday, and that'll be me, because obviously it's not like you can commute between the two.
Yeah, that's essentially what happened. Like my manager was like, so I take it we're not expecting you to be in next Monday. I was like, yeah, I won't be there.
I've got the flu, I'll not be in.
What about kind of personal circumstances as well? Like obviously I don't know if you've got girlfriend, family, etc. It's a big jump to, I mean, if you'd gone full time with a Scottish club, chances are that, say Partick Thistle as an example, chances are you could still live where you were, you'd still have all your surroundings. It must be a big jump to go literally to another country.
Well, yeah, this is obviously the first time I've been living myself. Obviously, I'm moving out from my mum and dad's house, but I think they knew as well how much that I want. Like as I was saying, I took that job with the NHS and stuff like that fully for this kind of goal. So they know how badly I wanted to get to this kind of stage or whatever. And they were just like, do you know what, like go for it kind of thing, like once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, I think like I didn't even have the chance to think about it, to be honest. I didn't think twice about it. I kind of just went, right, cool, I'm going. So
how does it work as well when you move? Do Crusaders kind of say, we've got you booked into whether it's a hotel or a B&B for the first couple of nights, and then you kind of find your own place, or is it up to you? You go across there and you're like, right, I need somewhere to stay tonight. What we do?
Nah, honestly, like the club have been brilliant with it, because that was like my first question as well. I was like, I need to focus on football, and I also need to find a place. Like, so they kind of had me in a B&B for the first like 2 weeks, and that was like, they've honestly been brilliant with me, because I think they realise as well, because they've had past Scottish players, like they know like all the stuff that comes with it. Like they want you to just focus on the football as quick as possible. So with that, I mean, within 2 weeks, I've found myself a place, and that's kind of me now. So yeah, it's been a quick. Obviously, in those 2 weeks, staying at a B&B was not annoying, but like you're constantly having to pack, and then you're like unpacking, try to get other stuff over, have to bring my car over. But once that's all been like kind of calmed down now, yeah, it's been okay.
I was thinking that must have been a surreal experience for you, bringing the car over, presuming you drove down towards Stranraer and then across on the ferry.
Well, that's what mum and dad were joking about, like that. We drive down to see the Stranraer game, so it's that time that you drive your own car now.
Sorry, Cameron, I jumped in.
So I was just saying, in kind of time off, have you been doing any sightseeing in Belfast?
Do you know what, like, actually, see, because I've been just moving stuff over and stuff like that, and then I'm like on calls with mum and dad, and then just for training, football, I've actually not had the chance. I'm kind of saving it for when my family like fully come over for a weekend or something like that, so I can go out, kind of see what's about. But like, even the boys and that, they've been like brilliant, because I think they all know, because they've done it already themselves, like obviously Elgin and stuff like that. Like they've done that in the summer, so they kind of know what I'd like to see or what I should see. So yeah.
Because they'll probably give you a list of the big pubs to go
to. Who brought it up with you and Elliot in terms of, I don't imagine it was like this, but kind of being like, you played for Stranraer, I played for Stranraer.
I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where like with football, everyone just like kind of knows everyone or where you've been at before. So I genuinely think the first words we spoke were, oh yes, Stranraer then, aye. So yeah, it just comes from it like that.
He did well for us, did Elliot. Obviously, Scott, the first half of the season you were at Stranraer, so I'm going to give you this opportunity now that you've left. You can give out plaudits or dish the dirt. So who were the characters at Stranraer? How did it work when you came in? Because we were having a chat earlier tonight about Tiff, about Ginge, about Martin Fellows, about all the coaching, and we were actually trying to figure out ourselves what the interaction was. You know, that Tiff knew the West of Scotland, the Martin Fellows knew the Scotland under-19 setup, that kind of thing. So how did training work between all these coaches, and how did it work week in, week out kind of thing?
Well, obviously, I'm only going to talk good things anyway, but
we'll get around to the other stuff later.
Nah, honestly, like, see, kind of coming in, obviously, because I knew, like, the juniors to the leagues, it's going to be a big step up, and I kind of realised that early doors were how professional it was. Like, see, even with the pods, like obviously the vest, the pod things, like Fez giving you all the details and stuff like that on it, like the sports science kind of side of things, like it's stuff I kind of knew about or heard about, but I didn't really see firsthand how it worked. And so coming into that, like they basically just give you everything that you need to, once again, just like focus on the football side of things. You don't need to worry about anything else. And yeah, so I'd say like the kind of that side of things was brilliant. And then the training as well, obviously it's just a step up because the quality of player that you're training with is brilliant as well. The boys will tell you how bad I am in a rondo. So I was bad before when I was playing my bead in a rondo, and you can ask them. Whereas when I've came to Stranraer training, I think honestly I may as well have just sat them out. I'm just good at kicking it and heading it, and then leave that rondo stuff away.
Tell us about the characters in that dressing room that you were in, though, because what struck us this season is that it genuinely feels as if there's a bond between the group of players we've got, and you know, you're coming in new, but you weren't the only one in the summer. It was like a whole bringing together of players from all over the place, but you all seem to hit it off, if you like, and I don't know if that's down to the group of management, the coaches, if it's down to the players, if it's everybody. How did that work? I mean, was it as good a vibe as it felt that night at Elgin? You were obviously all getting ready to go away for a break abroad. It just feels like a good vibe in the dressing room.
I mean, I think every time that you interview one of the boys, you see the first thing they mention is a brilliant group of boys, because honestly that's the truth. And like I've been lucky that I've had good change rooms before I've came to Stranraer, but like obviously this Stranraer change room's definitely up there because all the boys are so close. Like that's something I still speak to most of them every day here, and I think I've got a few boys coming up to Belfast at some point as well, over in the ferry probably. Mm-hmm. But I know honestly, like I think it is probably down to like the management kind of side of thing, because they push for that as well, but not that they have to, because like all the characters and stuff like that, everyone just bounces off each other. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've had the thingy. Like obviously Josh is away now, but Josh in a change room, honestly, funniest guy ever. But I don't know what he's like in interviews with you, but he's one of the top guys. But like even like the nights out and stuff like that. Not that we were going out every weekend, by the way. But when we were, like, I've been at teams before where you kind of keep the football, and then on a weekend after a game or whatever, or after football, that's kind of kept separate. Whereas like all the boys are like, right, where are we off to? Are we going out for food or something like that? It was good, that side of things. Then once that, obviously when we started the season, not great at the start. Like I think that maybe that helps when you're just like actually friends with the boys that you're playing with, and then you see now, was it 11 games unbeaten now? So
11 in the league,
so that's no coincidence, I think.
I mean, you're talking there about obviously you weren't going out in the town every weekend. I actually think, looking back over the years at Stranraer, it's not a bad thing to have a squad that actually socialises together, because to me, it's maybe oversimple. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but to me that means you're going to fight for each other more on the park if you're mates, basically.
No, 100%. Like that's what I was saying. Like you've been at teams or whatever where you keep the football and then your personal life separate. Whereas at Stranraer, like it felt like, do you know what I mean? It's boys that you're actually friends with on the park, off the park. Obviously, there's a few arguments on the pitch, but that's standard. Like probably seen me and Reedy go for it a few times, but
That's exactly who I was thinking about when you said that.
But do you know what I mean, off the park, it's like honestly the nights out and stuff like that is brilliant because you actually you're wanting to. Do you know what I mean?
I asked you a minute ago about the characters in the dressing room. You talked about Josh. Who's got the worst patter? Whose patter do you not miss?
Oh, they'll stick me in it. Worst patter. I don't know. Maybe you're not gonna hate me for this. James or Quiggy, the worst batter ever. Honestly, the worst. The worst.
We're quite happy with him just now after his goal on Saturday.
Oh, by the way, what a finish that is! What a finish that is! I need to bum him up a wee bit after I've just slaughtered him.
I'm just, I don't know if impressed is the right word, but I kind of sometimes think when a player moves on from a club that, yeah, I'd like to see them do well, but obviously still watching the highlights, watching how the team's getting on, Scott.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, what obviously seen the past few results as well. Like, it's kind of weird because it's been a month, but there's only been 3 games these have played since, isn't it? Yeah. But obviously keeping unbeaten records, so that's good. But beating Spartans at the weekend there with another last minute winner is obviously class. And obviously seen Quiggy score as well. Like, cause obviously I'm really close with Quiggy. I still speak to him once again. He's probably one of the boys that are coming over to Belfast, but. I know, obviously buzzing to see the boys do well and hoping for promotion. That's the plan, is it?
Will you get a medal if Stranraer go up?
Do you know, I was thinking that the other day. Does that work like that? I don't know.
Get my folder out. Let's have a look. Number of games. Where are we? In the league, I make it that you were involved in 21 games, so that's going to be.
That qualify?
I don't know, but it's way over half, obviously. So I'd be making a claim for one if there's.
Surely I've got a shout.
Ruffy, can I go back to just your career briefly? How long were you Muirkirk, or Muirkirk as they call them?
Oh, it wouldn't be right if we weren't mentioning Muirkirk because this nickname has stuck the full way in it. This nickname is stuck. People think I'm probably from Muirkirk now, which isn't a bad thing. But so with Muirkirk, like, I was there for I think it was 10 games. It ended up working out, and honestly, I owe a lot to the Muirkirk manager at the time, Kevin Muirhead, because. Obviously I was in a tricky situation at Benburb or whatever, and Kev kind of made me like football again in a way, and he gave me like full trust and just let me play every week. And I say every week, it was 10 games I played, but it was 10 games, and then I moved on to Beeve with Chris Strain and stuff like that.
I must admit, I was gutted. I could never use that in commentary. The Muirkirk Maldini. I was desperate to use it, but you were away before I could use it.
I think the nickname's just going to stick. To be honest, I can't get rid of it, but not that I want to, because Billy Tate at Muirkirk will love it. It's stuck. So
we're waiting on Brian. Brian's got a few more up his sleeve. I think that he's just waiting to get out there when players get a goal or get a late winner.
You have to practice them, innit? You must be practicing them.
Who have you got this weekend, Scott?
So this weekend we have got, it's a tough one. We've got Glentoran. So they are chasing the league just now. So if they win their games in hand, I think they go second place. Obviously, we're leading the points just now as well. We've had a tough run of results, but Glentoran, from what I've been hearing from the other boys and stuff like that, they're a good team, and obviously league position doesn't lie. So yeah, we're hoping to start catching up in points now, because see the boys at the team we have, like, there's a lot of talent there. So just about kind of putting it together.
Is it home or away you're playing them?
It's away on Saturday.
You're in for an old traditional old ground at the Oval. Stranraer played a friendly there a good few years ago, and it's a real old, what's the word, traditional old ground. I loved my day out at the Oval. Helped by the fact that I had a few beers in me before I got back over to Stranraer, right enough. But I know it's quite an interesting ground. It's East Belfast, sort of hemmed in by the old red brick houses. But it's a right traditional ground. It's a
what I think that's funny here as well, like how obviously in League Two, like there's a lot of travelling, kind of obviously the team bus and stuff like that, and then obviously for our home games I was travelling, but like see here, like the furthest you travel is, I think it's Coleraine, and it's an hour, everywhere else is within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, which is kind of handy actually. It's actually okay.
See, on that topic, what did you make of the travelling up and down to Stair Park?
Honestly, I loved it. I think, see, when I've watched obviously the podcast before and interviews before, like everyone always speaks about the bus journeys and stuff like that. It's brilliant. It's lovely. And see, when I was joining, Derek Wingate, obviously you know Derek Wingate.
Yeah.
He was like that to me. Honestly, you're going to just love the bus journeys. I was like, how am I going to love a 2-hour bus journey to Stranraer? You know what I mean? But yeah, he was absolutely spot on, because I think that as well, that kind of builds into like being good pals and stuff like that with the boys, because you've not got anything else to do for 2 hours but speak to people. So yeah, honestly, I loved the bus journeys. I actually looked forward to it. It didn't bother me at all.
It's funny because you get some players over the years that absolutely hated the travelling, so they moved on pretty quickly after a season. How does the bus journey work? Is everybody in on the fun, or do you get folks sitting with the headphones on in the corner that are just having a snooze basically?
I think, see, well, I always sat next to wee Jamesy, so he'll tell you I was a wee boring guy on the bus, but for the first maybe an hour or so, I'd obviously speak to the boys and stuff like that, and then for maybe the last half an hour or whatever, I would just have my earphones in. So you had other boys sitting watching the football or sitting watching Netflix, but for the most part, everyone's kind of joining in and stuff like that in the parlour, so it was good that way.
I'm guessing that the downside is it's a long journey if you've lost a game, but equally that bus journey down from Elgin that night must have been pretty good.
See, I was actually speaking to one of the boys. I think, who was I speaking to about it? I think it might have been Josh. And see, after that Elgin game, where obviously you come from that massive high of obviously me scoring, I was absolutely buzzing. All the boys and that were having a few drinks at the back of the bus, but I don't know what it was. I had just this mad adrenaline dump from being so high, and I was kind of just sitting down at the front of the bus. I couldn't even speak, to be honest. I think I lost my voice. But or maybe I was just preparing for the Tenerife trip we were going on after it. I don't know which one it was, but as you said, see, obviously after you get a big win like that, the bus is absolutely buzzing. But as you said, if it's maybe at the start of the season when we weren't picking up results, it was kind of obviously it wasn't bad, but it wasn't ideal at the same time.
Aye. And what about the Tenerife trip? Was that basically Sunday to Tuesday or something like that? How did that work?
I think it was Sunday morning and we came back Tuesday night or something like that. So even though it was everyone was like, why he's only going for 2 nights? But honestly, if you ask any of the boys, it was so worth it. It was great 2 nights there, brilliant.
I don't know, Cameron, nights out have progressed a wee bit since just a couple of Christmas drinks at their pub on a Friday night. Now the players are all going to Tenerife. Brilliant, eh?
I imagine things like that just really kind of strengthen the bond between everyone in the squad, though.
Well, that's what I mean. Even obviously all the coaching staff as well coming along. I feel like you don't really get that a lot, where boys will just kind of organise themselves or whatever, and it's just the players that go. But I don't think any of the players were even setting question whether Tiff and all that were coming along, because much better. I think that everyone is just so close. You know what I mean, the coaching staff can be there. It was brilliant.
You tell us what happened in Tenerife, or is what happens in Tenerife stays in Tenerife?
No, it was just a quiet one. Most of the boys just stayed in anyway.
Just sat in and read their books.
That's what happened.
Absolutely. Anything else before let's go, guys? Absolutely delighted that you've joined us, Ruffy. You were brilliant for us. It's been brief. You never know, we might see you back sometime, but we wish you all the very best at Crusaders. Genuinely, at Stranraer, we're under no illusions. If somebody's going on to do full-time football, going on to better themselves in terms of the football game, we wish you all the very best. And we hope to be reading about your exploits for Crusaders and hitting the heights in Northern Ireland. So, again, thanks for your time at Stranraer. Thanks for joining us, and all the very best going forward.
I appreciate you having me, honestly, and I absolutely love my time at Stranraer. It's been the best 6 months ever, so thank yous.
In terms of what else has been happening in League Two, there are obviously games in midweek, a lot of influence on these by former Stranraer men. Sorry to see that Jinky Hilton's broken a bone in his foot, and we wish him well. Hope he comes back stronger than ever, apart from 2 or 3 games that we've still got to play this season. Anyway, I suspect for Jinky it's going to be quite a few weeks on the sidelines, so sorry to hear that. A bit of debate going on among the Stranraer fans on Tuesday night online when Marky Russell scored for Stirling Albion, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it turned out it was a nice finish with Marky in Albion's 2-0 win over Annan. Cameron, what was going through my mind though was there was 1 or 2 people saying we shouldn't have let him go, but I'm still thinking Mark Russell made it clear he was wanting game time, and equally based on what we had seen this season, he wasn't doing enough to get starts for us. So I'm not going to cry over spilt milk, as it were.
I don't think you can kind of just keep players on the theory that there could be injuries or there could be suspensions or this could happen or that could happen. Mark was absolutely brilliant for us last season in particular, and again did well this season, and particularly in terms of goals that he scored. Equally, as you say, football's a finite career. If he wants to go and play, not that I'm suggesting he would have been kind of disruptive in the dressing room, totally far from that, but if he wants to go and play, he wants to go and play. Equally, it obviously kind of frees up a wage for us if we want to go and strengthen, whether it's in the same position or another position. A bit like you said about James Hilton there, and echo what you said in terms of wish him well. Wish Mark Russell all the best. Hope he's playing week in, week out. Hope he has a stinker against Stranraer. But other than that, yeah, absolute best of luck to him. As I say, he was arguably player of the season for us last season, and was a big reason in kind of us getting away from the bottom and finishing where we did. So totally best of luck to him at Stirling.
Aye, absolutely spot on. Brian, there was a bit of acrimony online, as there always is, after Clyde and Dumbarton drew 0-0 on Tuesday night, and I always think it's box office watching both the Clyde fans and the Dumbarton fans when they don't do well, and actually a goalless draw seemed the perfect catalyst for absolute eruptions from both of them afterwards. It wasn't a good result for Clyde, and I think what the Dumbarton fans were saying was that game was there for winning, and they're saying Franco went for a draw.
Yeah, I watched the highlights tonight, and the draw seemed a fair result, but both had chances. Brett Long had a fantastic save. I think it was probably in the second half. I think it was the second half. It looked a goal all the way. I was sad to see Jinky. He'll not play again this season. I think it's a broken bone in his foot, so that'll be him for the season. But it's I noticed somewhere the weekend they billed Clyde's game against Edinburgh City title challenging Clyde. No, I don't think so. I think it's between Spartans and East Kilbride. I was talking to George Drummond. He was telling me the 2 games Spartans have got in hand. East Kilbride, I think it's Forfar and Stirling, which I would fancy Spartans to maybe win both of them. So it's going to be very, very, very tight up the top. But as far as Clyde's title challenges, I just cannot see. I think that last night would probably just kill it completely. You'd think they would hate to beat. I think the East Kilbride to play twice and Spartans, so you'd have to win all 3 there. And with that Clyde team, I just can't see it.
I'm with you. I think Clyde are greatly improved this season. Fair play to them. But they've done so far. They've done better than us points wise. But it's the same issue as we've got up to a point. There's so many draws that we're not going to climb to the top end of the table now. We could still go further. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to trouble the top spot, if you like.
Clyde have drawn 13 games this season.
Aye.
It's half their games.
Yeah.
I think they played 25 and drawn 13. So you're not winning the title with that number of draws.
No, it's a bit like us in a sense, in that we're now not easy pickings for people to come and beat us. We just need to turn some of these draws into what we did on Saturday, effectively. A late winner. Since we last spoke, we've got a couple of rearranged matches. We're away at Dumbarton, not next midweek, but the midweek afterwards. Then we've got Clyde at the Lime Stadium. Ironically, I think we play Clyde twice in the space of 3 or 4 days now, because we've got the next one against them coming up at the same time. So dates for you to look out for there. Obviously, next up for us this week is Elgin. Now, I don't know if either of you saw the highlights that Elgin put out of their 3-0 win over Edinburgh City on Tuesday night. Quite a strange set of highlights in that it was, I think they had technical issues. You're laughing, Brian, you must have seen it. They had one camera and it was behind the goal. and actually they were 3-0 up at half time, but the camera came on in time to see the Edinburgh City goalkeeper sitting on his backside in the box, the ball ready in the net for the first one. So I think the Elgin boys clearly had technical issues. You only saw 2 of the goals, and everything was from that one end. And even when Edinburgh City got a penalty up the other end, you could see it in the distance as they skied it over the roof of the net. However, that brings us on to the fact that we've got Elgin on Saturday, and Cameron, it's a rejuvenated Elgin, 2 wins, and actually, if they were to win on Saturday, they'd be right up our behind, basically.
Yeah, I think, again, it just kind of goes to show what the league is like.
Yeah.
As soon as you have a good spell, you start motoring up the table. And equally, if you are going to be dropping points, you find yourself kind of slipping back down and out of that kind of pack that is probably chasing the one remaining playoff spot now. You fancy it would take a bit of a collapse from, well, any of East Kilbride, Spartans or Clyde to not finish in the top 4. But yeah, it's funny how these things go, that it seems to be as soon as fans of any club, if they're going through a bit of a bad run, start to write their team off, that almost seems to guarantee that they'll then start picking up a couple of results, and it kind of brings that hope back again that, well, maybe we could get into the top 4.
I think it's a fair reflection, Cameron, that there is that one playoff spot really still available. We're not far enough ahead to say that we're home and host, but equally the lead that we've got at the moment, which is reasonably slight, I guess, now after these teams have played games in hand on us. We're still ahead. It's up to us now to go and cement that.
Yeah, I think we're favourites for it. We're in the driver's seat, or whatever other cliche you want to use. But as you say, there's still a dozen or so games left to play. There's plenty of time for us to either A, cement it, or B, to, well, could end up finishing kind of 7th or 8th. I really hope that we don't, not just because obviously as a Stranraer fan, but the amount of work and the amount of progress that the team has made over the last, well, since Tiff came in all honesty. But all that progress, etc., I would be ashamed to see it kind of slip away. There's not really, touch wood, there's not really been anything to suggest that could happen. That's not to say we will automatically finish 4th, but there's not been anything to suggest that we'll slip away, even in terms of kind of a bit of a, well, draw specialists since the turn of the year. Even since that, we've still been kind of chipping away, picking up points, whilst other teams have maybe been kind of defeating one another and not really kind of closing the gap. So if we can just kind of put that wee run together again between now and the end of the season, should be more than enough to kind of get us that final playoff spot.
Almost feels like continue doing what we're doing, but just slightly up a gear.
Yeah.
Just to get a couple of more 3-pointers instead of draws. Brian, put it in context. My son was looking at the League 2 table, and he looked at it and said to me, Edinburgh City could still get the same number of points that East Kilbride are currently on. I think that is incredibly unlikely, but it backs up what Cameron's saying, that with a dozen games left, that's 36 points up for grabs, but it's equally 36 points that you've got to win, because if you don't, you slip down rapidly.
I've been looking at what I think the points total have to be to finish 4th, and you're probably looking between 52 and 55. I think it's going to be. So Stranraer, if they win another, even if they can pick up another 20, 21, 22 points, looks like it could be enough, because obviously the rest of the teams are playing each other, blah blah. So I think it's usually between 52 and 55 is good enough. So I think we've got 10 points in this quarter from our 6 games, so which is spot on, playoff form. And we got it in quarter 2. We were into quarter 3, and we're spot on going for that playoff place. And if we can get as many points in the last 9 games, we'll win the playoff. So I mean, the players, I think, are absolutely determined after what happened. For the Rangers game, they wanted to get something out of the season. And this is their trophy. Playoff. Yep. And you never know what can happen in a playoff.
Sounds like 6 or 7 wins is, 12 wins out of 12 is going to be the target for Tiff if I was to turn around and ask him that. But it sounds like what you're saying, 6 or 7 wins is going to have us there or thereabouts. Brian, Elgin City, the last time we had a wee bit of a laugh because I said Russell Dingwall was always influential in these games, and then he got himself a red card, which was overturned from memory in the end. But obviously he left the pitch at Barra Briggs, and Stranraer got a late winner from Scot Rough. What are you expecting this Saturday? They'll have their tails up after 2 wins.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, they've played Stirling and Edinburgh up at Elgin, which it's not. I don't think it's the hardest tasks in the world. And Edinburgh seem to imploded. You know, he's made that team worse. I think with his signings, and Stirling. Well, I don't rate Stirling that highly. So, you know, Elgin are coming in, as you say. I mean, they're in a false position. They were on 23 points.
Yeah.
I always thought they were better than that. You know, because they've got some good players in their ranks, you know, and I think he had a couple of injuries and such like. I mean, I think that the result against East Kilbride was a bit of a fluke, getting beat 6. You know, I think that was you know, the man sent off, and you know, various things happened. So, but a very tough game. You're talking about Dingwall. That goal we didn't see last night. The keeper was picking out the net. I think it was for 35 yards. If you're going by the BBC, a 35-yard screamer. So. I think I've got. I can see how the cameraman missed it because they wouldn't have expected to shoot it there. But and you know, of course, Dingwall will be the guy we love to hate on Saturday. You know, he's always the same. You know, he likes to antagonise, you know, crowds and such like. But I think it'll be a right tough game. As you say, Laurence. So even though they haven't beat a lot, I don't think in their 2 games. I mean, I think they are one of the teams who are going to challenge us for 4th place.
Cameron, is it? You agree with Brian? It sounds to me as if what he's saying is that all the teams below us, so your Annan, Forfar, Elgin, Stirling, Albion, are probably all safe now. It's a straight shootout between Dumbarton and Edinburgh City at the bottom.
I don't know what Brian was saying there. Sorry about the Russell Dingwall goal.
Yeah.
I think the suggestion was that it was from the halfway line. I think the BBC, the kind of formula, if that's the right word, that they use is it's certain descriptions for goals. So whether it's from 36 yards or whether it's a Van Ekkerpont style goal, it just says from over 35 yards.
Right.
So, as I say, whether that's 35 on the button or whether that's 65 or 95, I think that's what it comes up with. Yeah, I mean, Elgin, they're probably a team just off the top of my head, not looking at kind of head-to-heads, but we seem to have almost had a better record up at Borough Briggs as of late than we have against them at Stair Park. I could think of a couple of 1-1 draws. I think Hester scored down here earlier in the season.
I was a second goal, that Hester one, to think back. Yep.
And I think was it Jack Murray scored a header when Harry Brune was in goals start of last season, and then I think we went up the park and equalised. I think that might be Scott Robertson. We did get an absolute doing up there, but that was at the very end of last season when we were on that bad run and they were making a push for the playoffs right at the end. Again, it's a cliche, but you just fancy that every team on their day, there's no real kind of surprise results, I guess, in League Two. It's just a case of what team happens to turn up on the day. Would you have been surprised if Elgin had beaten East Kilbride a couple of weeks ago? No, probably not. Would you have been surprised if East Kilbride had got a win? No, probably not. And equally, would you be surprised Elgin going and beating Edinburgh City during the week? No. And then equally, would you have been surprised if Edinburgh had got a result? No. It's just that kind of league that anything can happen. And I suppose going back to what we were saying earlier about Clyde and the number of draws that they've had, that kind of shows that Clyde, those fine margins, they could have, if they had won half of those games. Well, you can't win 6.5 games, but if they had won some of those draws, then they would have obviously been in a healthier position. And equally, if some of those draws had been defeats by the odd goal, they would have been potentially not even in the playoffs. So it's just those fine margins.
Brian Cameron says that it depends what team turns up in the day. In terms of our team on Saturday, what are you expecting? Tiff's not afraid to make tweaks to the lineup here and there, but what are you thinking at home to Elgin? What are we likely to see? And probably also an additional wee question, is the game in any danger given the pitch on Saturday, do you think?
Well, I think it's rained every day, isn't it? I don't know about Stranraer. I know it's rained up here every day, and it's been quite heavy rain as well, so hopefully it goes ahead. I mean, it was very heavy on Saturday. Just got to hope that it gets a wee bit drier now before Saturday and it goes ahead. I mean, as far as the team concerned, I think we're agreed now that that the back five again. It's the old Ekrapont call, debate. It comes up, every time the team comes out. I would play Ekrapont, I would play Call, but I mean, Tiff can look at the league stats since Ekrapont dropped to the bench. We've played 4 games and we've conceded 2 goals. So I mean, Tiff can. Well, there you go. Call's been playing and we've only conceded 2 goals. And they both bring different things to the table. And I'm quite comfortable with any of them. Because I think they're both good left backs. Call's a lot more experienced than Finn, right enough. But so we've got that back five. I think we can agree that is a back five. And I know Doc's chopping at Tiff's throat again the team, but Evan Dunn's playing that well. I mean, you can't bring Doc back. I mean, Terry looks as though he'll stay in goals. I know about that. So you've got. Could you bring Jordan Stewart back in front of the back four? He said Jordan's going to be fit again on Saturday, and we know he loves Jordan. We all love Jordan. We think he's a fantastic wee player.
Love to see him back. Yeah,
in front of that back four. But you drop Cap McKnight after playing well against the Spartans. That's in for him. And McManus or Quigg, that's allowing. I mean, I think Gillis is so important to this team. He's allowing on the winning the first in the team sheet because he's so important. Even though he's only 19, he's so important to the team. So you've got Quigg or McManus, you would say, in that playing, and then of course you've got Plank on the left hand side. Dolan was left out on Saturday. Don't know, maybe I don't know whether the ground suits him or no, but he was left out, and I think Darren likes playing with Cleland up top. So
he's said that. He's actually said that.
You take that at the front two, Laurence. So there's a couple of positions you'd say, well, but I mean, as we've said this season, no matter who comes in, we're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because they're all good, decent League Two players. You know what I mean? Whoever picks, he's the manager, and he's got the final say.
Cameron, you spoke to Chris Aiken after the game on Saturday. In terms of the other players who are out, we've seen a few of them running about before games. Are we creeping any nearer to seeing the likes of a Sal or a Ryan coming back into the reckoning?
I think Sal is probably the closest. Him and Jordan Stewart are probably the two. By the sounds of it, if Robbie Foster gets any minutes, I think that everyone would be delighted about that.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm not so sure about. I can't think of seeing him out running. Obviously, it'd be great to have them all back. I'd love to see Robbie back as well. But yeah, Sal and Jordan seem to be the two that are closest. I think it'll be the same starting lineup as Saturday. Whether that's a little bit harsh on Aaron Quigg, obviously. You can point and go, I scored the winning goal, but no, I think it'll be the same starting 11. I think it was probably Matty Gillis, probably his best game in a Stranraer shirt. I thought he was very, very good on Saturday. Man of the match for myself. And yeah, I've said before, big fan of Kirk McKnight.
Yeah,
I think it'd be very harsh to drop him as well.
Yep. Brian, final one for you. We're 2/3 of the way through the season. Just thinking about what we've been talking about with Cameron there. We're 2/3 of the way through the season. We're sitting fourth, and actually we've done it without quite a number of players throughout the season. That shows us up in an even better light, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose during Christmas and such like, we'd only one fit striker.
Yeah.
In fact, we'd hold 5 out, didn't we, against Dumbarton? I think we had a striker against Dumbarton. So, I mean, it's been a remarkable season, really, I think. No matter what happens now, I mean, the improvement in the team. And they were saying, I mean, Dougie Salmons had 5,000 days. Days. I mean, Tiff's had 500 days. I mean, and it's been remarkable. The turnaround in Stranraer's fortunes since that playoff against East Kilbride. And he's only been, as I say, here a year and a half. And he just seems to. Well, I've talked about it before, but he knows this league, and he knows. So does Ginge. I mean, and even Martin Fellows. I'll know a wee bit, and the way that they set up, and I don't know whether it's actually design, but some of the times, the defensive wise at Stair Park, you just think, I mean, is this the way he's been set up? I mean, as we said on Saturday, Spartans had a lot of the ball, and maybe everything's happening in front of the Stranraer players, so they can see what's going on, and it's just so good at setting up teams against certain teams, and I mean, it's been remarkable, the turnaround in fortunes for Stranraer this season.
I'm a bit sceptical about some of the stats you see online. For example, Lewis Reed's Australian. He's clearly not. But I did notice they said on Saturday that Spartans had more shots than us, but we had 4 on target. They had 1 on target, and I'm kind of wondering if you class the 1 on target as the goal, because I don't know if it was on target to begin with. Certainly ended up in the net, so can't complain about that. So Elgin City at the Lime Stadium on Saturday. Get yourself out there and encourage the boys, and get yourself out early to Pavilion Bar. Have a good crack with the other Stranraer fans beforehand. You might have heard the Dumbarton chairman allegedly mention that he's thinking of launching Sun's Soda from Dumbarton. I'm away off tonight to have a good old drink of Clay Hole Cola. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening.